Warriors, where to begin? So this video is just going to be a book review of the first book, and after I finish reviewing all 6 of these books, I'll create another video talking about the Warrior series, how it began, etc. So, the plot of this book is about a kitty pet named Rusty who wants to go into the wild because he doesn't want parts of his body to get cut off and become fat and lazy. That's it. That's the whole reason why this story takes place. Rusty is fatphobic.
That fat old tabby never went into the woods, Rusty scoffed. He's hardly been beyond his own garden since his trip to the vet. All he wants to do is eat and sleep. Rusty was confused. He suddenly thought of Henry, who had become fat and lazy since his visit to the vet. Was that what Bluestar meant by the cutter? Rusty twitched his tail impatiently. That's just the point. If I stay around here till they take me to the cutter, I won't be the same either.
Fatphobia aside, cats don't become lazy if they've been to the cutter. But the fatphobia doesn't stop there as Rusty, now Firepaw, meets up with Smudge around page 79.
Then Firepaw remembered. Smudge had passed 6 moons. No wonder he looked so soft and fat, and smelled so strange. You've been to the cutter. He felt bursting with energy after meeting Smudge and realizing just how lucky he was to live in the clan. When I saw Smudge today, that's the house cat Tigerclaw saw me talking with. I saw what life would have been like if I had stayed with the 2 legs. I felt happy that I had not stayed. I was proud I left. He held Bluestar's gaze without flinching. Meeting Smudge made me certain I made the right decision. I could never have been satisfied with the soft life of a kitty pet.
So, it's safe to assume someone on the Erin Hunter team has a few words to say about getting your cats neutered. After Rusty gets accepted into his new life, he meets with Greystripe, and the 2 instantly become good friends, and the rest of the story is filler, as it's nothing but world building. That's not really a bad thing. There are 6 books in this series, so it's fair if the first book they put the plot aside to show the world Rusty is in. The problem is, I hate world building. I have aphantasia, so I can't imagine anything when I read a story, and if you have an entire book that's mainly focused on the world, I get bored, and I understand that's a personal issue, not an issue with the writing. In terms of the actual story, Rusty is in ThunderClan, but many cats hate him because he's an outsider. Tigerclaw hates him the most, and it's clear he's the main villain. Rusty has Gary Sue powers, as he can fight just as good if not better than wild cats, but I'm willing to let that slide. I've come to expect main character powers in storytelling, and being good at fighting with no training is one of them. At the end of the story, Firepaw, who is Rusty, becomes a warrior and is now called Fireheart, despite there being other cats in ThunderClan, such as Sandpaw, who has been an apprentice a lot longer than Firepaw but doesn't become a warrior because of plot. Side note, did anyone else find it weird there's only one she-cat in ThunderClan who's an apprentice? The male to female characters in ThunderClan are a bit jarring, not including queens or elders because they can't do anything besides complain about the weather. There are 5 she-cats in ThunderClan compared to 11 toms. One of those she-cats gets Fridge. Mousefur is only mentioned 11 times, while Willowpit is mentioned 5 times. Still, not including elders, the least amount of time a tom is mentioned is Runningwind, who was only mentioned 4 times. In comparison, the second lowest mentioned tom is Longtail, who was mentioned 20 times. Oh, and Smudge, who isn't even a part of ThunderClan. He gets mentioned 12 times, just 1 more than Mousefur. I might have gotten a bit off topic, but I'm sure some of you will see this and ask me,
why does any of this matter? It's a children's book. Let's not put politics in it.
Imagine if you were a kid who's bigger than normal, and you get made fun of at school for it. You read a book about cats because you like cats just for the main character to hate cats who are fat and lazy, something you get called at in school. With this mindset, the hero never gets challenged, so there's no one to defend you, and don't get me started on the disability representation that'll be set aside for the next book. But I can hear some of you say,
this book is old and can't be put to the same standard as what is acceptable in today's world.
A few things wrong with that. Number 1 is that these books are still being written. A child who might see advertising for the newest book might want to read this one to catch up on the story. Just because it's old doesn't mean they won't try to sell it. Also, it was never all right back then. Some people are bigger than others, but that doesn't mean they can't be good fighters or hunters. I don't think we'll ever see a big cat in one of these books. I can't recall one, anyway. Side note, this book makes it pretty clear that prey is sparse, but no one ever goes hungry. It seems like there's an endless supply of food in the forest. The books talk about not having enough to eat, but their fresh kill pile is always stacked. I would like to talk about the danger of wildcats because I live in Australia, and wildcats are a pest, but I'll save that for another time. This book is kind of forgettable since most of this book is just setting things up for the next ones, which again isn't bad but not my kind of thing. Firepaw is mainly trying to prove to everyone he can be a warrior, which he becomes at the end of the story after holding his own against a cat he really shouldn't have been able to do. Does the clan accept Firepaw after becoming Fireheart? No, at least 5 cats still hate him and will continue to hate him for several books because he hasn't proved himself enough. But enough about Firepaw. What about the other cats? I like Graystripe. I like that he's more of the joke type, and he and Firepaw have some good chemistry. Since Sandpaw is the only she-cat apprentice, it's clear that she'll be the love interest for Firepaw, but I do like her rough attitude. It doesn't come off as if she hates him, just unsure what to make of him. I hope they don't change her character in the next book or anything. Bluestar gives me the old mentor vibe, which is fine, and Yellowfang isn't bad, either. I find it funny, despite she-cats being outnumbered 2-1, the best characters are the she-cats. A lot of these characters are kind of forgettable, though. I don't recall half of who is on the character list. Does anyone remember who Running Wind is? If you're a Running Wind fan, please tell me. But in any case, that's all I can say about this book, at least. It's not great, but it's not as bad as a car crash or anything.